in the non-oil sector. Significantly, headline inflation in the foundations of the Nigerian economy. The mission of 2026 is to raise the edifice of a secure, competitive, and prosperous Nigeria upon that.
He also highlighted that the resolution of the recent Nigerian-U.S. diplomatic spark has strengthened bilateral ties and positioned Nigeria as a more confident global partner.
In 2025, and all of you are aware of this, we navigated a very complex international diplomacy with maturity and also with principle and with dignity that Nigerians are known for. For example, the recent diplomatic spat with the United States has been largely resolved through a firm, respectful engagement culminating in a strengthened partnership between America and Nigeria. Let me say it here, that what has happened, as bad as it was, has also helped to strengthen the kind of collaboration that Nigeria is having with the United States of America, especially in the area of security, making sure that Nigerians live free of this crime and criminal elements.
Dr. On security, the minister announced a hardline shift, warning that the era of soft descriptions and impunity is over.
Nice having you here at the government house, Ibadan.
That attacks our farmers.
Actually, the countdown to my birthday will start tomorrow. You know, usually I do the countdown once it's midnight.
As a terrorist organization, any individual or any group. This is the declaration that Mr. President has made.
Want to use this opportunity.
The era of ambiguous nomenclature is over. If you terrorize our people,
I've actually, in the last 6 years, I've been having media chat, but it's been localized. You know, usually I'll go to BCOS, and then about maybe 3 to 4 times in a year, almost on a quarterly basis. But it's been low budget. You know, Oyo State is not an oil-producing state, you know, so it's been low budget for us. And then people started, you know, calling me. They will come to Ibadan and say, so you guys have done this much, you've done this, you've done this. It's almost like you light a candle and put it under the table. So I think I was convinced at some point that we must let the entire Nigeria know what's happening in Oyo State, and also they can come in and check as well. That's what I said. Well, maybe for this once, let me have a medium type of budget media chat. You know, so no big deal really. So you add that together, that's almost 340, yeah? But you have receipts, you know, from other sources. You have investment also in the state. And then we in Oyo State, we try to de-emphasize, you know, going a concessionaire. Let them raise the money and then the resources of the state. So in the course of the year, we spent close to $200 million on the first phase, the 32-kilometer stretch. It's you've been there. It's almost completed now. We will commission it first quarter of 2026, and with that, if we get a concessionaire, we have capital receipts of almost $200 million, you know, which we can put in the budget. So budgets are estimates that look, we hope we'll get this in, and this is how we will apply it. But in the course of the year, I remember my first year in office, I came in May 29, 2019. The budget for 2019 was prepared by the previous administration, so we had to run it to the end. We reduced it. We came out and looked at the receipt. I think the budget there was about 240 billion. We reduced it by 25%. So if you check the budget performance for Oyo State, you know, through the last 6 years, we've been at about 70–75%. So this one is not going to be any different.
Okay, very good. It's good to start from that perspective, Mr. Governor. I was looking at the data that is made available, and I'm looking at different websites. One of them is budget. And according to budget, the state, Oyo State, has done well in some areas. Consumption in the state, you're ranked number 4 across 35 states of the nation. And the IGR is calculated as being relatively lower than most states. And I'm wondering, is there a problem with tax collection or generation of revenue? Are there challenges in that area over the last 6 years?
First, we made up our minds that we will not increase taxes on our people. No new taxes. So in the past 6 plus years, you won't have any new taxes in Oyo State. But what we've done is we've brought in people, you know, into the tax net. It's a chicken and an egg type of situation. What do you do first? Do you, you know, tax the people first, or do you allow them, you know, create an enabling environment where they can expand production? When you expand production, and you know, you have a productive economy instead of a consumptive economy, then you are in a position to tax more and raise your idea. So that is a less traveled road, but that is the road that we as government, we decided to take. And I'll tell you what we've done in the past, this year that is closing, 2025. We looked at the landscape in Nigeria. We looked at, schemes that other countries, other African countries, they've been able to take advantage of to expand their economy. And we found out that, look, let's take AGOA for instance, African Growth and Opportunity Act. What is the data for Nigeria? But countries like Mauritius, Rwanda, all of those countries, Kenya, they took advantage of AGOA. They expanded their productive base. But we were still talking about, how much is FAC and all of that. So we said, no. Now, we looked at the Africa Continental Free Trade Agreement. There's a provision in there that you don't necessarily have to operate at the national level. The subnational, can also go out there, get their deal, get their own deals, and then fulfill it. So your state, in this entire continent of Africa, your state became the first subnational to sign the agreement as a two. So any day you have an AFCFTA event, Oyo State will be at the table with other heads of government from other African countries. Why did we do that? We didn't want to wait for federal. We want to broaden our own productive base, and we want to be able to, under that protocol, expand our own economy and sell to other African countries.
Yes, thank you very much, Your Excellency. I want to take you back to the Circular Road project. I know that your government has invested heavily in road infrastructure. Some areas that were hitherto unlinkable, we've linked them.
Hello.
The Seyi Bomosho Road, the Ibadan Seyi Road, and that hub is the core agro business, the food basket for the state. Now, the Circular Road project, has been generating some
issues, yeah?
Yes, with especially about the 500-meter. You understand what is the philosophy behind it? That is number one. And then those who are claiming that they have properties there, so how far and what is the state doing to ensure that those who have genuine claims will be adequately compensated?
Okay. The Circular Road, the concept is look, you need rapid transfer around Ibadan. You should have a road that can encircle the city, because it's a growing city. I came in on a British Airways flight, and then at the end, when we landed in Lagos, they gave us some data about the flight. I said, well, this flight flew close by Barcelona, 1.something million people. It flew past Kano, 500 and something thousand people. It flew past Ibadan to get to Lagos, 3.5 million people. So I know that we're even slightly more. But if you go around Ibadan today, there's no gridlock, the type you experience in Lagos. And we don't want that to happen, because you learn from the experience of others. The Circular Road corridor, the acquisition was done well before I even became a governor. It was gazetted, and in the Nigerian Tribune of November 19, 2018. And that circular road project, the idea was mooted by, well, maybe initially by Baba Lamadeshina, but it was brought out, you know, as a project, and the first real attempt to execute it was made by the current Olubadan of Ibadan land, Baba Rashidi Ladoja. And that's why we named the entire 110-kilometer corridor as Rashidi Ladoja Circular Road.
Hello?
Because he set aside the first seed money. Of course, it wasn't done from records available to us. When Governor Kala came in, the priorities changed. So he would rather do, you know, use that money for other roads. So it's not about Seyi Makinde or this administration, you know, grabbing people's land. But when we came in, there's been encroachment on the corridor. I said, so what do? We decided that, look, let's go on with the project where we can get the 500 meters on both sides. We'll take it. Where we cannot because of development, we will look at it. But for a highway like that, you have a minimum standard, you know, that you have to maintain to the highway. And this will be the first proper motorway in Nigeria. Simply because it is in the mode of maybe M25 in London, you know, London Orbiter. Or for people that are used to America, Houston, the Beltway 8. I mean, it goes around Houston. We know that government exists to look after the people. So most of these people, we ask them for their documents. No document. But we still did not say, okay, no document, so you must go outside and be homeless. We said, okay, look, even with no document, if you can prove, you know, that you're the one living, you know, in those houses, we will compensate you so that you can go elsewhere, settle in, while we develop that corridor. And the corridor is not just, oh, people want to build estates. No, it's for industrial and commercial concerns as well. Because if you have to move from a consumptive economy to a productive one, you must have industrial corridors. Our children will have to walk somehow. They have to walk somewhere. So, and for me, you know, it is easier to take the bullet for the incoming, the next administration, because your state people have gotten so used to me. They can vouch for me. They know what I stand for. So if I come in and say, look, this is what we're doing, they believe me. We've been able to reduce to the barest minimum the trust deficit between government and the people, at least here in your state. After I went to address the people in that corridor,